Hello, hello, welcome. I'm here among the crocuses. Are they crocuses? I'm never too sure whether or not they are or not. But anyway, hello, and welcome to the second webinar in this series, ready for your readiness for academic study. Oh, there's Claire just logging in as well. Just got back to her desk. Fantastic. Welcome, Claire, and welcome to you if you're joining us this afternoon. Not as many as last week, I notice. I guess everybody is busy packing and getting ready to start your 3 years here. I know it sounds like it's a long time, but believe me, it will go extremely quickly. Yeah, so this week we set you some challenges, and the challenges were really to do with really delving down into academic writing. And I must say, I was really impressed. If you have done any posts in this week to either the difference in learning posts or the supporting your point of view in the other forum, I was really impressed. Seriously, I was very much impressed, and I actually shared your views about difference in learning with other tutors here, and they were I was received with comments such as, yeah, they've got it dead on. You know, you really are aware about what you're coming into, and I think that's really important. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk briefly about the idea of difference in learning, and then I'm going to talk about supporting your information and your writing, which is essentially the most important way to get a good mark in your assignment. So I'm going to give you some helpful hints for that. If you have to go halfway through the chat, then don't worry, this is recorded and you can go back and have a look at it. The other thing that I would like to say at this point is that Claire and I will make ourselves available sort of like 2 weeks into term or a week into term, and we'll send out a message to everybody saying we're in this room. If you'd like to come and have an update or have help with referencing or anything like that, or writing critically or writing reflectively, then come along, and there'll be an opportunity for you to come and sit down and we'll go through it all with you, etc, etc. And if there is something that you would like us to go over, then please do tell either myself or Claire, and we can either signpost you to places where that is actually already happening, or we can make some bespoke training for you so that actually helps you. A lot of the time in higher education, you need to be proactive, and then we can be reactive, which is how we like it to be. So let's talk about differences in the difference between further education and higher education. And I'm not going to pick out individuals' points from the forums, but you can go and have a look. And if you've written anything about this, then feel free to give yourself a little mental tick to say, yes, I got that correct. Okay, I often think about education as almost like a triangle, and when you start education or learning, down at the bottom you're learning a huge amount of topics. You know, at school, in the curriculum, in the national curriculum, we have history, geography, modern foreign languages, computing, English, mathematics, science. They're all there. But as you pass through education, the triangle sort of narrows everything down, and you start to study less and less and less and less. And you might have already been familiar with this. You know about this because I think it's in year 13 or year 9, you make choices and you start saying, oh, I don't want to teach that, learn any more about that, or learn any more about that, and you get rid of it, and it goes, and then that's it. And that's really important for higher education as well, because out of all the subjects you could have chosen to learn about in more depth, you have chosen to learn about learning and teaching. And often I get a little bit it grates on me slightly that people say, you're doing a degree in primary education, are you just colouring in all the time? And that's not the case at all. What you're doing is increasing your understanding of both learning and therefore teaching. And there's a wonderful comparison that comes out a lot in talks, that you actually have the theoretical side of teaching and learning and the practical side of teaching and learning. And if you imagine them as two separate hoops, when they come together, that overlap, they call it the praxis, that is where effective pedagogy arrives. So a lot of you talked about really making choices and you know, choosing one thing to learn, and that's really important. The other thing that I was really pleased to hear, honestly, it gave me a soft glow. People talked about more independent learning, not expecting to be spoon-fed, and this idea that there's more reliance on you. And that is the most essential part about learning in higher education. You are coming to an institute of learning. That's what we are. And we are here not to teach you, but to facilitate your learning. I work on a third-year module in education studies called Digital Learning, the Future of Education. And currently, I'm trying to think about what I would like to include in that module. But at the same time, I've got the essentials that will help with the assignment, etc. But I also want to provide that freedom to allow the learners to direct me about what they want to learn about. And one of the key things, and some of you mentioned it in your posts, the most key thing about learning in higher education is this chance that it's becoming more and more personalized. It's more individually based. And that's why you must never be worried about challenging tutors, asking them questions, asking them to provide an example, and almost like provide that interpretation. And yeah, we are academics here, and we do sometimes have the capacity to use a whole load of strange vocabulary that you might never have heard of before. And it's really important at that point that you say, hang on a minute, what does that mean? Or hang on a minute, I understand that, Ian, but how does that relate to practice? How would you facilitate that in the classroom? And that's really, really important. The other thing that you'll soon get to know about higher education is that the amount of time you are in sessions is a lot less than when you were at school. A lot less. You know, you could have a day that you only have a 2-hour session in it, and that would be it. And I'm a great believer in time management. I really like looking at task managers, how to organize your time. There's a wonderful book by David Allen about called Getting Things Done. And that really sort of allows you to sort of like formulate and sort of like work on your own time. And one thing that I would encourage you to do is to make time to extend your own learning. Make time to go off to the library, find something that you've been interested in a session and read about it. A lot of people, when you're writing assignments, a lot of people write the assignment and then try to find information to support what they want to say. And that is actually, in my opinion, and probably Claire's opinion as well, the wrong way to do it. What you should do is read first, and then you know what will be going into your assignment. You'll be able to pick out all the points that you want to talk about, and then as you're writing, you will be able to support your points with that text. And that is the key thing about academic writing. Sometimes we're asked to reflect, and reflection is very much when you're giving yourself you're presenting your own personal opinion, okay, and saying how you felt, etc. But the majority of the time is all about evaluation. And evaluating something is when you have to look at the current knowledge, the current thinking, and then relate that to what you saw in practice. Okay, so I know some of you are in the chat, and I want to pose you a question so you can get typing. Okay, so my question is this, and it's probably a guessing game, but try to think realistically. How many hours of additional reading do you think would be a good idea to do over a week? Okay, or per day? You know, if you think the week, 5 days, how many hours of additional week reading would you think you would do in a week? So type it down. There's no judgment about this. You can say how many hours a week you think. Exclude Saturday and Sunday because that's your time, unless you're incredibly disorganized. So how many additional hours a week reading do you think you should be able to do? What I'm going to tell you at the end, after you've had a guess, is that I'm going to tell you what I do. And remember, I'm an academic, I'm a tutor, so I probably do a little bit more. But more importantly, I'm going to tell you how I organise it. And that's really important. Okay, just while you're doing that, I'm just calling up the other points that you made. And a lot of people talked about a difference in style, and that's really important. You know, I will be stood at the front or stood at the back, and I will be providing you information, especially in a whole cohort lecture. And a whole cohort lecture is when I'm just giving you facts. Okay, we do it a lot for assignments when we want to give the same information across the whole of the groups, a whole 120 of you. In the second year, when you come into my year, a lot of the time in professional studies, what happens is that a tutor will give a lecture, and then you will go to your own groups with a different tutor to discuss it further, almost like a seminar. In the second year, we don't do that model. And what we do is that we play to our strengths. So if one of my strengths is behavior management, and that's what I know a lot about and got examples in school. So I might actually do the whole cohort lecture, and then I will actually be there and do every single group as well. So you get that information. A lot of people talked about professionalism, so important. And this idea of professionalism in turning up, being attentive. You know, I'm in the process of writing a blog post about how to turn your technology off. I don't know if you've heard that acronym of fear of missing out, that FOSSO thing, you know, and it's sort of almost like encouraging you to sort of like remove that and use the time that I'm giving you, you know, effectively. Lots of talking about independence. Yeah, it's down to you. Yeah, I know you're paying X amount of thousands of pounds, and that's even a better idea, a better reason to actually engage more and use the tutors that are here. There was a lot of things about relationships between us, tutors and students, and that's really good that you picked that out. Yes, I've been teaching a long time. Yes, I've researched. Yes, I've published. But I can guarantee every single session I learn something from you guys. Okay, somebody tells me something that they did at school or happened at school, and I think that's really interesting. And especially in mathematics, we will often say at the end what we have learnt from you. There was a lot of talk about freedom. And I that is so powerful because teaching and learning is quite big. But within them, there's little capsules, little areas that you can actually research more. Obviously, I love pedagogy, teaching and learning about mathematics and science and computing. But the thing that I really love is technology enhanced learning. How does technology impact on learning, both the positive and negatives? And that's my sort of like little area that I love to investigate and work on. Yeah, lots about freedom, different sort of inputs, yeah, and it's sort of like going into more depth, you know. So we do a whole 2 hours in first year maths just on subtraction. Yeah, 2 hours on subtraction. We go into it in a lot of depth, you know, so a lot more depth as we go along. I'm just reading down and remind myself. I do like it when people talk about trust and respect, because tutors will respect you and your opinions just as we would expect you to trust us and respect our opinions as well. And one thing that I really have to say at this point, remember, just because your opinion is different to mine does not mean that I am right and you are wrong. It means we have different opinions. And that is it, and that's where it ends. Really good point. Somebody mentioned that they need to get into the habit of backing up their views, and yeah, and I would say sort of like supporting your views is really important, you know. And a lot of the time you might have seen something that works really well in the classroom, and when you actually start reading, you'll realize that it's mirroring that, and you'll be able to say, oh, that's why those two work. I'm nearly at the bottom. Yeah, and independence and a change of environment. You know, change of environment. There's still collaborative working at university, but that might be within your personal learning network, which might be on Twitter, etc., etc. So I'm going to nip back because you've had a chance now to sort of like have a look. So we've got 7 hours a week. Is the webinar happening as I can't seem to access it? I think it's in a little clip up above the chat. You should just be able to press the play button. Can everybody see me all right? I hope you can. I know there's a bit of a delay. Okay, I've managed. Excellent. Welcome along, Emily. Yeah, so just to let you know, I've just had lunch and I've had a coffee. And when I have a coffee, when I have my lunch, I read a book. Okay, now before you worry, I do not read the whole book. Okay, what I try to put myself down to is to read a chapter of a book or an article per day. Okay, a chapter of a book or an article per day. You don't have to read the whole book. Now, I was looking at your timetable, you know, and some of you might work a lot better in the morning. Some of you might work a lot better at the evening. Some of you might prefer to keep your academic work at university. Some of you might prefer to do it at home. But what I would be saying to you is try to, right from day one, right from Monday, right from the start, elect a time that you are going to engage with reading. Okay, and try to stick with it. A lot of people sort of like think, oh, we'll leave it until an assignment's due, and you will increase the amount of work you're doing. At the end of every session, you have what's known as SOL, and that stands for Supported Open Learning. Okay, and it's that you need to do before the next session. It's like homework. Okay. Now, try to elect a time, to make a time in your calendar to actually plan that in. Okay, so you're actually going to do it. And try to hit the ground running. You have already done that. If you're in this discussion now, you are slightly further ahead than everybody else, because you're having the input that we're giving you. Okay, so that's reading. I've got another question for you that I would like to help you with. We'll have some questions about arriving and things like that, anything that's going to worry you about that in a second. But I was wondering whether or not you have any questions or concerns or worries about academic work. Okay, what's actually really worrying you, or what's actually concerning you, or what do you think you'll need help with? Is there any, or what questions do you have about academic work? Okay, that thing that's going to get you your degree. And in 3 years' time, in November, you will be going across the stage in York Minster. I will be sat behind you clapping, and you will be going up getting your degree. Okay, so that's 3 years in November. So believe me, you think how quickly your life has gone by so far, and you'll realize that it will come along very quickly. So do you have any questions about academic work, assignments, presentations, anything like that that I can help you with? or if you have any questions about actually arriving and what to do, etc., then by all means post those questions as well. I did post a link earlier on in the chat from George, who is the Student Union President, about the welcome talk. He said, don't forget about our welcome talks for move-in weekend starting as of tomorrow. Welcome helpers will be taking you from your accommodation to the university, and they'll have all this information if you forget. Okay, now one thing I would say to you, and I've said it over and over and over again, you know, be prepared to engage in university life. Okay, yes, you're getting a degree, but there's a lot that goes on at university. I was just walking across from Costa back to my office, and what we have the early starters in now, and you know, people were asking me where the library was, where the help desk is, and things like that. And there's plenty of people around for you to ask, you know, so be prepared to do that and don't worry about it. Okay, any questions that you have about academic work? I've got some information that I want to give you here, but I don't want to just end up like a lecture that I'm just preaching to you. I much prefer to engage. So if you've got any questions, then let me know. While you're thinking about that, I'm going to tell you about your first year. Okay. Oh, a good one to start off with. Are assignments submitted online or printed out, or is it up to you? Okay then, really good question. All assignments are submitted electronically. Okay, so we have the virtual learning environment called Moodle, and you actually upload your assignments electronically to that. Tutors will mark them, and then we will post up the feedback and our comments. So we do like in-line, in-text comments for you as well. And then that will come back to you. The turnaround in education, in primary education, is 4 weeks. So you'll submit. When you submit to Moodle, you get a little email saying, I have submitted, okay, which is really important. There is, and I'll be completely honest with you and upfront about this, there is a deadline, okay, so you have to submit your work by 12 o'clock on the day, 12 o'clock midday. Okay, and at that point, anything after that is deemed as late. Okay, and a late submission is automatically capped at 40%. Okay, so be prepared, be organized. You can actually upload it about a week beforehand, we normally let you do. Yeah, so if it's a presentation that you're doing, then your PowerPoint is generally uploaded beforehand, or your Prezi link. You don't have to submit your notes, but tutors will look at your presentation online to make sure you haven't made any sneaky changes in the time in between. Your first assignment, in the first year, about 3-4 weeks in, you'll write 500 words for us, and you'll submit that to your professional tutor, and they will give you feedback on it. I'm not a first year tutor. You will have me for either science or mathematics. Some of you might not have me, but I teach mathematics and science in the first year. Okay, after Christmas you've got a presentation to do for science, and you've also got, wait for it, a 3,000 word assignment to be handed in, and you must pass that 3,000 word assignment to progress to the second year. It's the only one that you have to pass in order to move to the second year. Okay, so really and truly do your best on it. Don't worry about it. You know, a lot of times people think they're doing really well, but they're writing in a different style to what is needed or required, or there's not enough reading, etc., etc. So yeah, so 3,000 words is your first assignment due in after Christmas. Do anybody have any other questions about it? I'm just going to take a sip of coffee while you do that. Just while I'm waiting for the questions. other things that I must say, I don't this side. I don't know if you can see this guy here. He's called Wilson, and that's left over from when I used to be in school as a teacher, because Wilson here used to go home with the children and go on holiday with them. And he's actually got his own passport in the bag and a diary of photographs of him on holiday. And this thing here, the BFG with the spaceman, that was part of your thematic presentation in the first year. And my academic tutor group actually gave it to me. I think they didn't want to take it home, to be honest with you. They took the head home. And so I stuck the rest up there. Yeah, so that's my office. And if you're in my academic tutor group, then you'll be able to see where my office is on Monday. How exciting. Isn't it strange now to say on Monday? On Monday, yeah. With regard to reading, will you recommend books for us to read? Really good question, and Claire will back me up on this. So on Moodle, for each of your modules, there is a recommended reading list. Okay, and what that gives you is a whole list of books that we as tutors recommend you to look at. Okay, now you have to remember that within each book there might be a variety of chapters. So for example, in the professional studies one, let's see if I can find it. So this book here, Primary Professional Studies, 2nd edition, there's probably another edition, edited by Alice Hanson. In this book, there's a whole load of different chapters. There's one on, I'm just clicking through it, there's one on safeguarding, there's one on teaching, there's one on transition. So you won't actually read the whole book, you'll probably dip into various chapters for it. Okay, and there's the web link that is coming up, and if you want to look at any, I can or Claire will type in some codes for you. For example, first year science is 1QTS S1, and first year maths is 1QTS M1. So everything is, the first number is the year you're in, then you always have QTS, and then you have a letter and a 1 again. So if you're doing English, it'll be 1QTSE1, and so forth and so on. The other thing that I would say to you, and it's really, really helpful, if this is one about, I'm looking at a chapter about teaching as a profession. So as well as the reading list, say I've got this book, on this page here, can you see there's a list of references? Okay, and what I will do, I do this, and you should do this as well. You should then go to those references and see whether or not you can read them. It's what we call citing. You don't really want to use secondary sources, you want to use primary sources. So you might go and look at it. Also, in some books it says further recommended reading that you can go and look at. And on top of that, say for example you're doing mathematics with me, at the end of the session I will say to you, here's a whole load more books, or these are the chapters that you can go and read. So if you're collecting all this, there should never be a question that you sort of like say, I don't know what to read, because there's plenty of things coming your way. Remember, the PowerPoints will be up on Moodle. And if it's any of my modules, you can get the PowerPoint before then. Okay, so you can actually have it when you arrive in the session to take notes on. But you can always look at it later on. And if you don't know what to do, then ask the tutor, and the tutor can recommend it something. Recommend they will help you find, yeah, best strategies. Yeah, very much so. But set aside some time in your week to read. How do you take books out the library? Is there a scan system where you can scan books in and out? Right. Now, okay, Claire will probably put a link into a video about how to do this in a second. But yes, basically you need your student ID card, and there's a scanning system and you put it in, and I think you have a pin as well. I might be wrong with that, but you sort of like scan them in, and then it's you get a little like a receipt to say that you've taken books out. I don't know whether or not you get them this year. Claire will be able to tell me. I'm looking where mine is. These are the best bags ever. These are the best bags ever. I tell you, I've been here 7 years, okay, and this is my bag, but it actually opens up really well to put books in, if that makes sense. It's really sturdy. It's made out of like Hessian. But I would strongly recommend getting one of these, because they're the best bags ever. Okay, so there's no free bags, but they're available for discount, and I think you just go to the help desk in Fountains, and on Monday, sounds scary, on Monday I'll show you where everything is, okay, or your academic tutor will in any case. So definitely, I'll say something else as well, and this is just a secret between you and I at the moment. I would really recommend that once tutors start to talk about books, go and get them, okay? Because if you wait, honestly, if you wait to 1 or 2 weeks before your assignment due, you will go to the shelves and the only ones that will be there will be the reference copies that can't leave the library, because people are very proactive and they'll go and get the books that they want. Okay, so think ahead and think, when are things assignments due in, how many weeks do I need to do that, so forth and so on, and be proactive. I myself, and you don't need to copy what I do, I tend to do all my work in the library. So I go to the library, I log onto a computer, I get the reference books, and then I use them in the library. I actually don't like working at home. Okay, I prefer to work in the library. You might prefer to take books home and work on your bed or whatever. That's absolutely fine. What is the average cost of books? You don't need to pay for the library service. There's a lot of e-books available, and we strongly recommend that you don't buy books to start off with. See what's available and then decide what you want to buy. The other thing that I would say to you is that, remember, you have your Aspire card, that it has £100 on it. So you might be able to buy books from that money, you know, from using your card. How much do they cost? Well, I'm just having a look here. This one, it really does depend. This one that I'm just looking at now doesn't seem to have a price on it, but I would have thought it's about 12 quid. This one here that I've got is £14.99, this one. So they are quite expensive. Yeah, so like Claire was saying, 20 to 30 pounds, you know, but use the ebooks, really and truly use them. Use things like Google Books, use the reference copies in the library, etc., you know, and yeah, you don't have to pay for anything to get hold of the information, you know. So if you're savvy, then it's all there for you, you know, and you can use it. I'll tell you, this is the honest truth. If I was doing your course now, I being a student, I wouldn't buy a single book, because I would look at everything online, or I would use reference books. If you want to copy from text, scanning sections yourself doesn't cost anything. Yeah. So things like that is really beneficial, you know. So think about it and ask for help. Okay, does anybody have any questions about Monday? Anything that is worrying you or concerning you about Monday? if you've got anything about that, then feel free to ask now. Okay. Can I just say that on Monday, I won't have a t-shirt on. I'll have like a proper work shirt on. Today's last day of casual wear. You know, on Monday, I'll be in proper tutor get-up. You know, although we don't have to. Some tutors wear jeans and t-shirts. But I like to be a little bit... I like to be professional and sort of like dress appropriately. Do you have any questions about Monday? I've got your timetable here in front of me. Already, look. Da, da, da. And things like that. And we're all ready. Just to let you know, there will be 120 of you starting on Monday. 120 of you. So there's quite a lot of you, you know. So, and generally, I will probably get to know each one of you individually, as in your name. Probably not in the first day. You need to give me a little bit longer than that. But as the year goes on and I teach you, we'll try to learn all your names. Yeah, Tuesday afternoon. Excellent. You're coming to, on the Tuesday afternoon, which is 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in De Grey, I think it is. So on Monday, you should have, you've probably done the online enrollment. That's probably done. So the next thing you will do is your physical enrollment. And for that, please check what you need to bring with you to enroll. Okay, please check what you need to bring with you. It will be on the website, so check it and make sure you've got it. And then what you'll do on Monday, you'll go to Fountains, which is the library building, and you'll line up in a big long line. And I will be there with chocolates, and Peter will be there as well, and Claire will probably be around as well. And we'll say hello to you and welcome you and get you through. And you will then get your ID card like this. And this ID card is the most important thing ever. Do not lose it. If you lose it, it will cost you £5 or more this year to replace. Okay. Can I plug the new? Yes, yeah, very much so. And so you'll get this, and this is important. This is what you'll use to scan into sessions. You'll use it to get books out the library. You could use it for discount in taxis and things like that. So really important. Do we get our timetables on Monday? Yeah, yes. Okay then, so on Monday after the enrollment, which is 10 to 11, you've got time for lunch. Okay, and then at 1 o'clock, you will be in Temple Hall, which is one of our big lecture theatres, and you will have Peter, okay, head of program, sorry, subject director for undergrads, and you will have 2 hours with him. Bless you, good luck. 2 hours, okay, which is a normal session. Please bring with you, however you're going to record your notes, there's going to be a whole load of information given to you, okay? And in that session, he will tell you your groups, okay? He will tell you your groups. Now, at the end of that session at 3 o'clock, myself and 3 of my colleagues will be coming along and picking you up, not literally. That's Peter phoning me. I'll have to ignore him. We won't be picking you up literally, but we'll collect you and we will take you off to another room, and we will be your academic tutor then. And then we'll show you how to access your timetable then, because I know that's really, really what you want. If you are interested, and you might not be interested, but in the week beginning the 24th of September, I do know that I'm taking you all for a lecture. There's a lecture 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on the Monday the 24th in Fountains, when I'm going to introduce science to you. You've probably got something else that day as well, but you'll all be there for science introduction, so I'll see you there. Yeah, so the library has a kitchen now, really exciting, with microwaves and boiling water taps. Nice place to relax as well, so it means that you can actually live there all day with your reading, etc. So timetables will be given on Monday. What will happen is that you'll get your group, and then once you've got your group, you can access your timetable then, and your academic tutor on Monday, or Peter, will go through what your timetable actually means and the codes on it. Any other questions about Monday? I'm really excited about it. I always think that university is very dead during the summer because there's no students around, but on Monday it will be completely and utterly alive again, with people moving around and joining in and starting to learn. Any other questions that I can help you or put your mind at ease about Monday? Let's take a sip of coffee while you're thinking. Claire, is there anything you think I should be mentioning? While you're thinking about that, thank you. Somebody did revisit their learning and put some references in. I'm not going to embarrass them by saying who it was, but well done. I put a comment on it. It was very well done. I will go through them. I'm not just leaving the Readiness for Academic Study course now. Okay, I'm going to keep going back and engaging with it. So please, if you haven't had time, I know some of you can't be here today because you're packing ready for tomorrow, but by all means, go back and do it when you have a spare moment. And remember what we said about homesickness. You might get homesick, but keeping occupied is the best way to avoid it. Okay, best way. Decide what you're going to go to the student union. Decide what you're going to do during the day and on the evenings, and really sort of like keep active and doing things. It seems that the questions have run out, which is absolutely fine. That's not a problem at all. I'm not going to waffle on for any longer because I know some of you will be heading off. Who's actually coming? Can you just type in the chat either Sat or Sun? I'm just wondering who's coming on Saturday and who's coming on Sunday. Are you all coming on Saturday, or some of you got another day at home yet? So just type in the chat either Sat or Sun. So Emily's coming on Saturday. Oh, Megan's coming. Are you in the same place, Megan and Emily? Oh, Natasha, everybody's coming on Saturday. How exciting. Somebody's going to have to... Yeah, brilliant. Oh, that's really good then. So you'll get to know each other and you're in your flat and your accommodation on Saturday night and Sunday before Monday. So you'll be well established by then. Have you packed everything up yet? Have you got everything in the car, or are you coming by car or train? How exciting. Have you got plenty of coffee? I always think coffee is really important. Only because I'm probably addicted to it. Yeah, coffee, chocolate is always good to bring. Yeah, not that it's expensive here or anything, but I always think it's good to have a supply of chocolate, or hot chocolate's even better. Yeah, so right, okay then. So I'm going to let you get off. First of all, I wish tea's just as good. Tea is just as good. So I've just got a few things to say. I am fully packed yet. Yeah, so don't worry, you got plenty of time. I'm going to give you some final thoughts before I go today. Number one, thank you for coming this afternoon and giving me somebody to talk to, but also thank you if you participated in this week's activities. Not a lot of people have done that, so well done if you've kept engaged, and you'll get a really good head start now when you actually come to YSJ. Second thing, have a safe journey here to YSJ, and we're looking forward to you sort of like joining our family here at YSJ. I know it sounds a bit coy, but we do think of ourselves as a family. You know, not we're very sort of like we are here to help, etc. And finally, I will see you on Monday, okay, at 10 o'clock. outside fountains. Don't worry, there's plenty of people to show you where it is. And by all means, do say hello to me, do say, oh, I know who you are, etc, etc. I've seen you online, because it's really nice to sort of like catch up with you. And the final thing is, I will check my emails over this weekend at certain points during the day. Okay, so if you have any worries, please just drop me an email and we can see what we can do to help you. Okay, so safe travels, and I will see you on Monday. How exciting is that? And yeah, I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. Okay, thank you for participating this week, and I will catch you all next on Monday, 2 days away. Have fun, guys. Thank you for coming. I'll catch you later. Bye.